Hey there! Welcome back to Cities in a Blink, where we uncover the stories behind the world's cities, one blink at a time. Today we will explore how Stockholm became the capital city of Sweden. Stockholm's story begins with water and with control. The city sits right where Lake Mälaren meets the Baltic Sea. And I want you to picture what that means. A narrow gateway between inland Sweden and the open sea. Now, quick question. If you controlled that gateway, what would you control? Trade moving inland, taxes moving to the crown, security against anyone arriving by ship. This wasn't just a scenic location, it was a strategic lever. Whoever controlled this passage could regulate the flow of wealth through central Sweden and defend the route at the same time. And that brings us to the first big turning point. In the medieval world, power often comes down to one simple advantage: controlling movement. Stockholm was built where movement could be controlled. That's why the first clear written mention of Stockholm, dated to 1252, is so closely tied to Birger Jarl, who is widely associated with founding or consolidating the city as a fortified and commercial center. The timing wasn't random. Sweden needed a stronger defensive anchor at this passage, especially after earlier attacks in the region. A fortified settlement here could watch ships, block threats, and make commerce pass through one controlled point. So Stockholm wasn't born as a cultural capital, it was born as a lock on a waterway. And here's a simple blink test you can use for capital stories. If a city controls a choke point, it has a built-in advantage because power loves bottlenecks. But a gateway city doesn't stay small. If you control the passage, the next thing you attract is money. Let me ask you something. What happens when a city becomes the place where trade passes through? Merchants arrive, markets grow. Money concentrates, and then quietly institutions start to gather. Stockholm's early prosperity was boosted by Baltic commerce, including strong ties with the Hanseatic trade world. And that trade did more than enrich the city. It pulled in networks contracts, credit, expertise, and influence. Because trade doesn't just create profit, it creates administration. Someone has to tax it, someone has to regulate it, someone has to settle disputes. Someone has to secure the routes. So over time, Stockholm became Sweden's most dynamic economic center. And as merchants, administrators, and royal influence began to concentrate here, political gravity started to follow. Now keep this question in your mind, because it explains the next leap. If Stockholm is the gateway and the economic hub, what happens when Sweden enters a political crisis? For centuries, Sweden did not look like the modern nation-state we know today. Power was contested, regions competed, and the Nordic world was pulled into larger unions. During the era of the Kalmar Union, Denmark, Norway, and Sweden, under one crown, Stockholm became a political battlefield, not just physically, because controlling Stockholm didn't just mean controlling streets and walls. It meant controlling Sweden's gateway, its trade, and the growing machinery of administration. So if you're trying to dominate Sweden or resist domination, Stockholm becomes the place you cannot ignore. The unrest and violence of the early 16th century culminated in events that fueled Swedish resistance and ultimately independence. Stockholm became the pressure point where Sweden's future was contested. And then comes the decisive pivot, Gustav Vasa, after Sweden broke away from the Kalmar Union in the early 1520s. Stockholm solidified as the seat of the new national monarchy and the central hub of administration and state building. It became the place where the Swedish state was managed and where it was symbolized. And from that moment, capital status becomes self-reinforcing. Because once the crown is there, and the money is there, and the administration is there, the city turns into a system. And systems are hard to move. Today, Stockholm remains Sweden's political, cultural, and economic heart. A capital shaped by the simplest and most powerful formula in urban history: control the gateway, track the wealth, centralize the institutions. So why Stockholm? Other Swedish cities played major roles, but only Stockholm combined a strategic water position, early fortification and royal backing, deep integration into Baltic trade, and the institutional momentum that followed Sweden's emergence as an independent kingdom. These layers turned Stockholm from a fortified harbor into the enduring capital of a modern nation. If you love discovering cities and the stories behind them, hit that subscribe button and join us for more adventures. Next up, we're heading to Athens, a capital shaped by ancient legacy, national revival, and the powerful symbolism of identity. Thanks for watching Cities in a Blink, where stories of cities come alive, one blink at a time.